Sorry.
The animal teaser. Put this way because then it's not against the light. This is actually the LiDAR data that we want to use. Let me get our hand on it. They're just using the same data, LiDAR data, just for the beautiful aesthetic effect. We want to use it for actually also knowing the meter index. This is from the point of view of apparently a panther, although it doesn't look very pantherish. Looks like a drone. Sound gets really important when you're abstracting somewhat, right?
What a show! What a show! Unbelievable! Very clever. Amazing. You know that?
So this is the one we're doing. And
the sound. The sound.
okay. Just to give you a sense of, we've got all sorts of ways we can abstract this kind of movement through the space. One of the things that I think one of you pointed out about a 3D space is that it's lonely in there. How do we address that? Because green spaces are interesting because you're there with lots of people, but there's no compunction to talk to them. The privacy that you get in public space is remarkable, right? So do we render people? If so, what do they look like?
Can you confirm?
Yeah. Do we represent little
Maybe sounds? If you put like a coffee shop or something, people just not know.
Yeah, we can do that in sounds. I like the idea of actually making sure that it is a social space, because that giving those characters, those images of people, some presence. Maybe they're just an white outline, and again, maybe we can just have text in it saying 40% of the NYU students are, don't live in nearby and have would take them an hour to go home for a break, so they hang out in public spaces. Little bits of information about scenarios rather than trying to render a particular representative person, right? Or homelessness around Greenwich Village is, there are, I know there's one lovely Asian woman who does she's got the block for all the recycling. Amazing how much she's tiny. And she's bent over like this, and every morning, she's collecting, no matter how cold, she's collecting all the plastic bottles. And, there's a space for people like that. How many people are using public spaces in the morning? So maybe we can just do little abstractions of people with little bits of information that change the abstraction. Because what's wrong with the picture that they have?
It's not representative.
Not at all representative, right? It doesn't actually represent the concerns. It's all trying to find the community affairs. Variety of place landscape. Yeah. What's wrong with that picture? The actual place. Can you see yourselves in there? Okay, here are the Photoshop renderings that are typically used.
Oh, that's the.
Yeah. 30-something, no women, Asian, stooped old women picking up plastic. If there's people in there, they're 20 or 30-something. There's not much people in there. There's not really much legitimate activity going on there. Yeah. Where's your place? Where do you sit and work? Where's your little secret desk that you go and sit in?
Secret. And then
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying,
There?
it's saying in this plan, where is it? Where is the special place where you climb on hearts on the wall? So this is another, I think abstracted people are better than photographs of people. And we can abstract them and put text on them in ways that, and of course we can put non-humans and birds and phenological clocks and other things in there. So just spend 10 minutes thinking of one scenario from your point of view of a game scenario of maybe an ant trying to cross the road or trying to cross the path, or maybe your bird. I'd love him. I think having him fly into, we can get some stills at least of the president's office and have him come back down, and that would be a kind of a magnificent fly through from the point of view of the bird. But what's he doing? Why is he doing that, right? What's he looking for? Is he going pigeon hunting? Is he looking to move on from the penthouse and the president's office? Is he, what's your ant doing? In this kind of game world, what's the squirrel doing? I told you about that. I tried to do it 4 or 5 times and it's been foiled. But getting footage, maybe we can do this now. It would be actually quite easy there. Getting footage of the squirrels and slowing it down to human speed. So you can see them talking to each other, in human, instead of, right, they start to become, human speed just by shifting their behavior into the more familiar time frame that our neurons frame. And in the reverse, the seeing people from the squirrel's point of view, where playing them where they're suddenly, and then time lapsing them, and then jumping around from one place to another. That would, I think, be really funny to watch people from the squirrel's point of view. That is extraordinary.
How am I going to film them?
We can put a time lapse. I mean, essentially, it would be running along a rut, cutting time lapses, which is what basically time lapses look the same. And then getting some film footage of the squirrels in the park. They must be pretty hungry and active right now. Things starting to.
Bring them food or something.
Yeah. In Washington Square Park, there are some in well, I know, because I stupidly did one. I've never seen a dead squirrel in my 20 years in New York City. Has anybody ever seen a dead squirrel? Has anybody seen a live squirrel? You'd think that if you've seen so many live squirrels, you'd see at least a few dead squirrels, but it was actually in LaGuardia Place. So think about a scenario. And I'll give you a few minutes of just write out sketch out a scenario in terms of 6 frames, like a storyboard. Do you want to give them an example of a storyboard? The quicker the better with storyboards, because it's about the story, right? But it's about image and what's happening. Why? Here are some storyboard templates just to draw up on a piece of paper. Image, a couple of words about it. Image, what's the next thing? For those of you, I presume everyone has somehow absorbed your filmic storytelling capacity. So I think it's. Hello. I'm just actually emailing you. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I know. So it's at 34 Stuyvesant Street, which is you're on the 4th floor. Okay, that's so come down to the 3rd floor, and I'll meet you in the stairwell.
What are we supposed to draw?
We're putting here things perspective.
Like scenario.
Cool. What we're going to do is our guest speaker is coming now. He's going to talk about his project and startup. He also teaches here as an artist his role in this interesting new startup for about 15 minutes. And then we'll review this after that. So I'll introduce Timothy Gilman in a moment. So have you all done a thing? Could you do just a couple of minutes research on how to do it? It's because essentially the navigation, each navigation, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't built it. Each navigation, you create a mesh that's specific to the navigation.
So we need to create like seven actors or something like this.
Right.
And then I can invite them to the a Dropbox file, so they can have access to the Unity. Yeah. But I don't know if they can use at the same time or how does it work. I don't know.
Okay, we'll just try and see. Yeah.
But I can create now 7 actors with and show them more or less the perspective, and this it's really easy.
Yeah. Okay. So
you know how to use it, right? More or less.
Yeah, he's our Unity expert.
Oh, really?
Can you do that? Let me introduce Timothy Gilman, who's here, and we're going to change gears. Do you want to? You don't want to project, do you?
It would be fantastic if I could.
To project.
Just
we have
from internet is fine. I don't need my own computer connected in.
Right. Where did the keyboard go for this?
They're all, I think, in one of those closets. Is it specific?
Question.
It says 2.
Okay. 2. Yeah, this is good.
This, sorry? You have next week. No, I have research scholar. Oh, research scholar. You guys are.
Yeah. Do you want to just do a quick introduction?
Yeah.
Each of you, these are. We have a very diverse undergraduate set of xCLASS, everything. Just go run around and introduce your major and the project for the class is on reimagining green spaces around the area.
My name is Sam. I'm a junior in xCLASS. I major in environmental studies.
In which?
College of Art and Science.
College of Art.
I major in environmental studies, and I also have a minor in business studies.
Okay. I'm Nicholas. I'm also in CAS. I'm a sophomore, and I'm double majoring in environmental studies and public policy. Okay.
I'm Sonia. I'm a junior, and I'm in Steinhardt studying studio art and minoring in urban design and architecture studies.
Okay.
I'm a sophomore. My name's Michael. I'm studying film and journalism.
Film and journalism.
My name's Elena. I'm a sophomore, and my major is in urban design and architecture, and I want to minor in studio art and/or computer science.
Okay. Great. So no one's like not so much traditional art students, but obviously all interested in.
Yeah, I mean,
visual
and
aesthetic
yes, I declare everyone an artist. Well, I mean, the main topic is creative agency. I mean,
creative agency.
Who has it, where they have it, how you get it, how do you maximize it, how do you use it, which is what you're struggling with.
Yes, absolutely.
And can you talk a little bit about the class you're teaching?
Yeah. 2.
So this is coming 2.
I'm teaching. Yeah, and I guess I can start with that and then back into everything else. So I am a practicing visual artist. Essentially, realized when I got out of college that I should have gone to art school. I studied writing, and I sort of made my living writing throughout my life, and was doing art on the side. And that becomes increasingly difficult as you get older and your family and all that stuff to sort of reconcile the two. So my work was in an ad agency, and anything that I did that I felt was related to my artwork was kind of against any of them knowing it, sort of a way of undermining the advertising work that I was doing, but putting in more difficult or interesting questions into the advertising than what the client was necessarily buying up on or even realizing. So it was this sort of double life. And then there was my art practice that my agency was supporting in that they were letting me leave and go on long-term residencies or shows, and they actually ended up paying for me to go back and get my PhD in contemporary philosophy, but applied specifically to my art practice. And then coming out of that, I was able to quit the job, so it was back, and get a job where my position is as artistic director. It's for a startup company, and it's a museum, a for-profit museum that's based in Times Square, and it has designs to become a very large institute over multiple locations. So it's really plotted and planned to be a corporation, kind of a new media corporation, starting from this very particular limited vision that they see as being very expansive in terms of the way people use technology and culture. So I'll explain more of that specifically. At the same time as shifting jobs, I also started to teach. I've been involved with NYU sort of peripherally through different things, at a business school, and then also through my PhD program. So one of the other graduates from my PhD program was running a writing program for the SPS, which is the School of Professional Studies. It's like the night school. And so they have online classes, and he asked me to teach a class called Technical Writing for the Information Professions. What's that? And basically it's about...
Can I just say,
yeah.
we're only getting on Windows.
Oh, I don't care.
I don't know that's it.
All I'm gonna need is YouTube and a browser.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on this one.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna put you on this one.
So the class that I'm teaching now for the School of Professional Studies is a technical writing class about access to information, about basically being sort of like a librarian or archivist for any company and opening up information for any entity, whether it's a not-for-profit, a library, a school, anything. It's like, how do we make information accessible, interesting, actionable, engaged for people? So that's the class for NYU SPS. The class for NYU Stern, which I'm teaching in the fall but have to audit now, is on social impact. And a friend of mine who is also background as a philosopher has kind of like gotten me involved in this. He says that he feels that he couldn't be doing more important work than basically to sit with class after class after class of business school students who all want to go into finance and banking, and basically teaching them about the impact of what it is that they're doing socially on all different levels. And so he's one of the chairs of this core program. It's the only business school in the country that's doing it. But basically, you know, Stern is a powerhouse business school for feeding the financial industry in New York City. And so every one of the students, undergrad and grad, have to go through a core curriculum where they're taught the implications of what it is that they're doing in business. And he does things like take them on experiential learning trips into the favelas in South America, where they wash the feet of the elderly who can't get out of their homes while the big corporations are sucking up all the water that the people should be drinking. So it's a pretty revolutionary program in terms of business schools, and I'm pretty happy to be a part of it because, again, I'm
Social. Have you heard about this?
It's a social impact core
Your
for Stern.
major is in.
It's minor.
Are you in
Minor.
Stern?
Minor in Stern.
Okay, so you wouldn't be required to do it if you weren't a Stern, full-time Stern student, I think. But it's a pretty interesting, pretty robust program. I've been wanting to get you guys together to talk.
Yeah.
I think he knows why I introduced him to your work or whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to be teaching that class in the fall, and that's called Organizational Communication, which is basically helping the students look at what's a big organization, what are their impacts, how do we basically resolve these impacts, both for the public and for the corporation, to address what it is that they're doing and how they're going to fix it, because the idea is that the corporations are going to be transparent whether they like it or not. And so how do they resolve that? So as somebody coming out of a visual arts background, one of the hardest things for me to do in my job, which I will talk about specifically, is figuring out how to do things in the way that a business becomes receptive to it. Because I can say, this is a great idea, this is ethically right, you know, this is really interesting, people are going to love this, and they don't care at all.
the business people say, what is it going to cost us? What's it going to bring us back? If I can't put things in those terms, I lose every argument. They might say, that's a great idea, but I really don't care. And that's hard. Like, it's really hard to do that when you're trying to bring this, whether you're doing it as an architect, as a landscape a designer, as a, anything, any topic that you guys, or any topic that you're studying. I think that the reality is that if you're in the gallery system, it's driven by money. If you're in the public sector, it's driven by money. If you're in the business sector, it's driven by money. And nobody tells you this at art school. Maybe they didn't used to tell you this at art school, but even the most successful artists that I know, most successful in terms of doing great work, getting the work out there, being seen and received critically, essentially are forced into the situation where they have to be good business people, good business managers. Because my wife was a studio manager for Jeff Koons, had 150 people on staff. She was supervising 75 of them. The burn rate on money was absolutely diabolical. People weren't just shoveling money at him. He wouldn't exist. And he's a terrible business manager. But it's like, the biggest, most high profile, most expensive pieces of art that are being produced are almost not making it because of just the business that's involved. Yeah, pretty crazy. Anyway, so my my art practice was, and this is on Flash, so it's totally unupdated, was what I would consider like a relatively conventional art practice that was conceptually driven, but really came out of the studio, things that we made with our hands.
So let's put it down this
Is
end.
there a, okay.
So then the light is not, we're not projecting.
It's all right. Well, I mean, it's really not,
No, this is, we're a small group, this works.
Right. So my wife and I
So you can
started
stand
working
here.
together after we were already married. She had gone to a European academy where she sort of trained in classical art making techniques. And I came out of sort of a sculptural inclination, but this liberal arts education. And we made, or still make, large format oil paintings, sculptural installations, works on paper, just kind of traditional artist
And
work.
maintain separate practice? Or
No, it's all one practice. It's all one practice. And we also write about art and curate art and so on, basically as an extension of what we're interested in our own practice. We're doing it, in these other ways, which it's not the same thing as making art, but it really is the same dialogue, the same, interest in the field. When I went back and got my PhD, it got me thinking a lot about who's my audience, how am I getting to it, why, what's working, what's not working, and so on, and what is it that I can do in terms of actually getting things out of just the art realm, because the art realm is, it's extremely elite, it's extremely limited in terms of the impact of who's seeing it, who's looking at what you're doing, who cares, are you persuading people that are already persuaded, who are you talking to, what are you saying, and having operated in, museums and art journals and art galleries, private and public, I find it to be pretty limiting. And also having seen like the big successes, walking around the museums and seeing it's not going anywhere.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh yeah, right, Chrome, no good. You have, well, I mean, in general, they're not supportive of old stuff. The nightmare of getting too busy to actually take care of your own documentation could ongoing problem. Get an intern. Oh, okay.
That's all right. I might slow it down, but not.
I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna do a new. Come on, it's slow. I don't know if it's even that important to show, but okay. So a lot of our work had to do with artificial constructs of nature and perception. And the natural stuff were like large scale environmental installations And it was kind of coming out of a lot of traveling that we've been doing in Central and South America to the jungle or whatever. We're looking for some kind of natural place and finding man-made places everywhere. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't get Flash. You get our out-of-date resume only. So there's no Flash here either. Yeah, ftgilman.com. And I'll just go to, yeah, you can look at it, but don't look at it on the tablet. You'll get my old resume, and that's it. So anyway, coming out of the PhD program, I wrote my dissertation on, it was called the Academy of Forgetting, and it was an anti-institution. So it was basically taking what is an institutional practice, flipping it on its head. So what does an institution of higher learning do? It preserves knowledge and information. It basically accumulates, papers, books, writings, and libraries, and all this stuff. And my anti-institution, the Academy of Forgetting, which was, the PhD was actually written as an artwork, which is something that's been kind of thrown around as artists are starting to do PhDs more and more. It's like, what is an artist PhD versus what is a regular PhD? So I took this on to myself to take what I'd found as an experimental proposed form for a PhD that hadn't been written, and wrote it. And then got the guy who had created the experimental form to write an introduction to it and see what he thought about it, which was actually a really great exercise. Wow, now I'm in Google. Okay, I got it. Okay. I didn't realize I switched computers. So, I don't know where anything is.
Sorry, it's in Spanish.
No, it's okay.
I have you looked it up here. Anyway,
Okay.
here it is. Fine.
Is it?
Yes. We can get back to that one. Painting and ownership.
Yeah.
I want to see the object.
You want to see? Yeah, I think that's better to go with the objects and installations. So this is the specific one I was talking about. This was at the Sculpture Center in, oh my God, 2001.
Okay.
And this was a large installation, sculptural installation, where basically we had these floating islands floating right at eye level. So it created an artificial horizon, and then it continued on the walls as well. So there were pieces of landscape that went all the way around. So when you walked into the room, one of the things that we thought about was, how do you make virtual spaces real? So this idea that this is the kind of thing that you would see in a film, or it was an optical illusion, or it was something that wasn't real, but